Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Theresa here, and welcome back to October Daily 2022. Today I'm sharing my page for day 2, and I wanted to start with a foundation page that I created, and then I'm going to show you the process through to completion for this day. I started with a sketch from Traci Reed Designs, and also chose the Harvest Moon digital kit to bring this layout to life. And so first I went in with the sketch and sort of reimagined it to fit across a 14-inch wide by 8¼ inch high canvas in Photoshop so that it would fit within the bounds of this album. And so it looks a little different than the sketch originally called for, but that's the great thing about working with sketches and using them as a starting point for your layout. And so what you see me doing now is trimming out the different pieces that I created. And what I normally do is go ahead and add all the elements to the layout. The only thing I left was I left the space for my photos blank, and I left space for journaling. But everything else is in place, and then I'll probably add some embellishments later on as well. But everything else is in place, and now I'm just going to cut out the basic elements of the page. And so what I did was I try to conserve ink when I'm printing these elements, and that's pretty well to be expected, right? And so I did a frame using the floral pattern paper in this collection, and you can see how I left space in the middle of it. I used that space to print out some of the other elements from the page, and also for this little, this is a little background using one of the solids in the collection. And then I also added the fall love words using the alphabets in the collection. And I added those to that background paper before I printed it out, just to sort of create, one, following the space that the sketch allowed for the title, and also just to create a little bit of interest on that background page already. And so that's the foundation for the right hand side of the layout. For the left hand side, I'm continuing with the frame, and that's where the photos will go once I'm ready to finish the layout in October. And so I thought it would be fun for you to kind of see how the foundation pages come together and how I do this, especially for a hybrid layout. And also the idea of using sketches for your foundation pages. I hope that inspires you to think about sketches for these types of albums, because it does do some of the work for you. And then obviously, all of this is done ahead of time. I did this back in September, and it will help me when I go to finish the layout in the middle of the month or whenever I decide to use it. And I already kind of have an idea of what I want to use this layout for. But obviously, you know, things can always change and something different might come down the road. But definitely, I love already having a framework for the layout, and will always encourage the use of foundation pages. I know it's not everybody's thing, but hopefully, even if it's not your thing, this is still a great page idea for you, and I share it so that you can borrow from the ideas, use the sketch yourself, and then share what you did, share what you created with us. So what I wanted to do for today's story is to just do a photo collage of some of the decorating around the house. And what we did this year was I was so ready. I was so ready for fall to get here that the weekend that school started, we pulled out all the fall decorations and went ahead and decorated for fall at the end of August. And so this is sort of what our house looks like right now and what it will look like while we transition. And so what we're doing now during the month of October is just adding some of the Halloween decorations and things like that. And so I wanted to just do a quick collage of what the house looks like today. And so a layout that I already had that seemed perfect for this story is this sketch layout I did for Traci Reed Designs. This is sketch number 29, and I'm working with the Harvest Moon collection from Traci Reed. And so two things that made this easier for me today as I'm trying to complete the layout, and that is the fact, one, I used a sketch and sort of reimagined it to fit across a 14 by 8¼ layout. And so that means the design work was already done for me, and it also means, because I did this back in September, it means that the background papers and some of the embellishments that I use were already printed. So the basic framework of the layout has already been printed for me. I know exactly where my photos were going to go. I have a spot for journaling, and all I need to do is add a number. And so all I had to do today was print out my photos, which this is a perfect spot for a collage. And so that's done. That was done in like 5 minutes. And I also printed out just a few of the stickers from this collection. And so those are ready to go. And then for my numbers, I went ahead and pulled together all of the numbers that I've printed so far from Traci Reed's collections for fall and Halloween. And so there's a couple in here. There's these recent ones, of course, from Goldenrod, and also these from Goldenrod as well. And this is day 2, so that's a possible number that I might be using. And then I've also got, these were from October Mood, and so they're really cute. And also a possibility, and then the other ones down there are those coins from Goldenrod. And so that's the start anyway of seeing what goes with the layout and what I figure I'll end up putting in there. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the process for you and let you see how the finished page comes together today. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere this layout to the previous day, which was day 1, and this was the back of the photo for day 1 and my journaling. And so I am moving a little faster than I normally do with the video today. I'm trying to keep it down to a manageable length. And so I hope that you don't mind that too much, but I think you'll still get an idea of foundation page, finishing the page, and what it all looks like all together at the end. And so I'm keeping these, I consider these foundation or home bases for embellishments here, these little circles. And it's they worked out kind of perfect where they're located for the collage, but I did have to move that top left one and made it just a little bit smaller so it didn't block the wreath hanging on the fireplace. And so those will be a little place for embellishments and the day number. And then I wanted to go ahead and write down some journaling about what this photo means and what is going on. Why is this in the album? What is my story here? And so I stamped a few lines, and then I also left a little bit of space here at the top just to start blending into another embellishment cluster. And so notice how the embellishment clusters will form the visual triangle, which is great page design, and it's a go-to. It works every time. And so I decided to cut up one of the tabs actually from the kit, and I used the Oh Happy Days and the little rainbow piece underneath it. And that creates a little title on top of the journaling card, but it also will transition when I go to add embellishments later. And so working on the little embellishment clusters, so you don't need much. Circles make a great home base or a stamped item on your page. And so this is a pattern paper circle, and then my number, I did go ahead and decide to use one of the numbers from the Goldenrod kit. And the reason I chose that was because it was black and I felt like it would pop against the colors on that side of the page. It is, there's a lot happening on this layout, and I think that's sort of what we look to Traci for and what I'm inspired by being on her team. And so anything that you want to stand out, you're going to want it to contrast against whatever's happening behind it. And that's, I say this all the time, that's my basic thinking behind creating embellishment clusters. And so you can also see the embellishment cluster over top of the journal card, and I just used one of the rainbows, one of the other butterflies, some of the floral embellishments. They just fit perfectly together. I just tucked them in and glued them down, and off we went. And then I haven't used ribbons in a layout in years. But I found this kind of cluster of ribbons at Michael's, and so that's where these have come from. And I'm just tucking little tiny bits in here and there, stapling them down. I did go back and trim that big orange one back a little bit, so you'll notice that in the still photos. And that really rounds out this day. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you'll go over to the blog and check out the detail photos. You can also see tons more inspiration from this project. And I will be back here again soon with day 3. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.